we have a universal blower motor we're going to talk about now. This blower motor looks real similar to a condenser motor, but if you notice the ventilation holes, it tells us right away this is a blower motor. That on top of the fact that it has multiple speed wires, we know at a glance this is a blower motor. So this universal blower motor replaces quite a few OEM style motors. This particular motor can be anywhere from 3/4 of a horsepower down to 1/5 of a horsepower. So that's quite a big range that it can replace. Now what makes it a 3/4 horsepower motor or a 1/5 horsepower motor? It's the capacitor. So when we buy this motor and we go to hook the capacitor up to these wires, depending on the value of the capacitor that we choose, depends on the horsepower of the motor. That's fairly simple. So if we need 3/4, we hook up that capacitor. If we need 1/5, we hook up a different capacitor. That's very nice, very simple to have. The blower motor can be mounted just like any other blower motor. Occasionally it's going to need a belly band. I have some belly bands here. Some of our OEM motors that we have to replace will have this band actually mounted on the motor. It'll actually be welded to the sides of the motor. That's a big problem when we go to find a new motor. But it's really not. We can get a universal motor, we can get universal belly bands, put them around the motor, tighten them up. It'll fit right back in the blower housing just nice and fine. It'll get the job done. We have to make sure we buy the motor that's going to have the right speeds and the right voltage. As opposed to a condenser fan motor, our blower motors typically can either be 110 volts or 230. If we have an electric heat air handler, it's going to be most likely a 230 volt motor. If we have a gas furnace, it's most likely going to be a 110 volt motor. So most likely my choice would be to stock this particular motor in both voltages, the 110 volt size and the 230 volt size. And if I couple that with a condenser motor, I've got a few motors that replace a lot of motors. So a universal blower motor is a very handy thing to have on our truck and complement our existing truck stock.